Yeah, unless they're going to start and try and fake this one out, I'd be very, very surprised. But already, you can see just a very fast push coming in. This is as aggressive as it gets, Mitch.
Yeah, there's a smoke down, but it's not going to deter them. Up close here, Avova is trying to hold on to that site desperately. Lowell providing some cover, but Avova's on 6 HP. The right click comes through for Wunda Roden. It was a last-ditch attempt to stay alive. Logan able to shut it down with the help of Akuma, and we're down to a 1 versus 2. It's Logan all alone. He's left in clutches a lot, but this time it's not to be. A very good trade in by Rubino to put the first round on the board for the defenders of Heretics.
Yeah, you always feel like in those sort of moments, it really could go either way. Like, you know for a fact that realistically Logan can pull that one back, but a little bit too close for comfort for Heretics, but they get things over the line. Now, we are going to see a minor investment here coming out from the Opportunists, trying to do a little bit of damage. They've got some utility alongside them and using the turret early to just try and deny any early aggression, but they have actually split across the map, and by the looks of things, Mitch, they're just trying to get every single ult orb they can.
Yeah, it does look that way. Luckily, Tom, my feed is back online perfectly. It's a little bit out of sync on the last one.
Because I saw him die, and then you commentated it, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was frozen for some reason, so I had to use the backup, which is behind, but we're all good. We're all good now. Yeah, this round is very weak weapons, but they're going in for a couple of upgrades, right? Your Ghost and your Frenzy can still be very, very intimidating if you're coming in to close range duels, which they are, giving the opportunities away. Roden has a feeling there's someone up close now. Spotted baits him into open combat, but there's nothing that can happen. He needed the headshot to walk away with something, and it's not to be. 2-0.
Yeah, this is a map as well where I think Diffuse are looking to be a little bit more brawly than what we've seen from them previously. As said, they were a roster that also liked to try and throw in the Sage a little bit. As said, the parallel to LoL, who pretty much plays it on every single map. I think on Icebox he might switch up to a Sova every once in a while. But the fact is, they have moved back to the style that I quite like. The thing that will really interest me about this, though, is we've seen them almost burst in a lot of rounds, and I wonder how that's going to work when using that Astra, because a lot of the time we talk about the big brain setups, the sort of fakes, the pulling it back, and if you're just running into a site, maybe it's not so effective.
Well, the black hole towards B Heaven, it's not really getting them anything. They don't face off the back of it, so really that's a star just gone, right? For no reason, essentially. Perhaps the bit of presence inside a vent slowed them down, but I'd be surprised. A lot of utility burned up now on the attacking side. They're forced into close range duels, but the Boombot, that's a mistake, which Logan quickly punishes. Vents open for them to take. That is the vent player that they've spotted move up, and they know that it was Raze, but they've decided to back off instead, knowing the rotates will be underway to the A site, and they should find B very, very weak indeed.
Yeah, I don't even think Avova knows that this much control has been garnered. Like, this is a terrifying prospect. His teammate's gone rotating at the same time. It's Rubino now watching Heaven, but just look at the current positioning. They're almost back to back. A fake's being sold elsewhere, but there goes Akuma. He pounces at the perfect moment, the wraparound through CT, and it's almost too easy for the side of Opportunists. That's a hole that needs to be plugged for Heretics, and very, very fast.
Yeah, very good reaction, though, realistically, by Opportunists. They realize that, okay, vent is open, they're going to rotate to A, they won't expect just a shift walk up into B Heaven. Why would you do it at that point? Well, purely to outplay your opponents, right? Expect the unexpected. That's what Team Heretics are taking out of this round as a lesson. And that long-range duel, oh, it's just so hard to win, man. When you've got a Spectre in hand, you hit your double dinks, it doesn't matter. The Vandal's still winning it. And speaking of the Vandal, Lau's got a nice little one here. Let's see if he's going to be a monster, as it says on his gun. If he's going to be able to carry this weapon through. They're not hunting too aggressively, so I imagine he will.
Yeah, I think as well, normally, if you're going to be on the attacker side, playing into what is your opponent's bonus round, you don't want to overhunt. Just because if you lose your guns, a lot of the time the man on the other side might have, you know, a sheriff or could even have an SMG. So if you just hand them a rifle, it's a much worse prospect than just keeping onto your gun. In this case, it happened to be the opposite, where Lau actually had himself a rifle, and then you could have lost even more weapons. So either way, we now see both teams actually coming back in with a pretty decent purchase. Interestingly, there's actually no ultimates online just yet, but there's a few players that are very close, and as mentioned, Opportunists thus far have been battling for the majority of ult orbs.
Fighting hard for it, committing a lot of utility, and actually there was something that in the opening round, I think a lesson learned almost playing against the Astra of committing your own utility when you haven't yet spotted out the site. Like the A push that they made, they didn't know there were 3 stars down from their opponent, so as they then went to push forward, they'd already thrown over their nano swarms, their boom bots, their own star is activated, and then they realize, oh, hold on, they're committing to this choke point. And it didn't really matter in the pistol because you'll still play fast and so on, but when there's rifles in hand, oh, it's a little bit different. And in this round, they're waiting a bit, then activating it as they push into the site. Avova on the back, looking to pick off a few as they come on in, but they know all about him. A quick trade to put the advantage into their favor, and the B site overwhelmed as the plant comes in.
Yeah, Avova does his best to try and delay, but it seemed like he had a very good idea of what was going on, but the rest of the team were a little bit slower to react. Takas also holding this lurk from behind, just looking to brawl with anybody that comes in to face him, and he's winning these battles while his team continue to fight. Logan is going to shut things down, and well, I think we're getting a repeat of last round, Mitch. Lowell just trying to run away.
Yep, running away to save, this time a Phantom, so at least there's a little bit of a change, Tom. It's still a 1v4, it's still a save, but a different weapon and a pretty skin for us to look at. A fist bump there, and that's exactly what he'll be getting from his teammates if he successfully saves it, and I imagine, again, he will, because Opportunists are not playing all too aggressive. They do not want to play games with their economy, and when you've got 4 players alive, I do think that the benefit of carrying those weapons in such an early stage of the game pays off compared to potentially dropping one guy who could be hiding in any corner as you push forward to quickly punish you and make it costly.
I'm quite interested by the fact that they are actually using Takas as a lurking jet. It's definitely not the most common thing. I think it could also be down to which site they're deciding to attack at once, but considering the gravity wells are very much avoided by Jet at the moment, you were almost expecting, okay, they brought in Jet, that means out and out entry fragger, but it's not really been the case. And they're also looking to hold on to both sides of the map almost every single round. You saw the proactive Heretics in the last take an awful lot of map control over towards A, but they still have players lurking, so no opportunity for Heretics to get any real information or fast flanks.
When you're the attacking side in this round and you hit tab, you see that they've got basically no money. So it has to be a very cautious approach from you to not overextend and give them any picks. And Takas quickly disengages after being lit to 8 HP as they group up on middle, and they'll look to take some control. But it's so risky, man. Like, versus these weapons, you have to be concise about your plan. Because if you wait too long, if you dilly-dally, something like this is going to happen, where you can already see the full A control in the defender's hands. They've pushed fully up, and the rotate will come in, presumably to middle, where these pistols might be able to crunch in on these rifles if they can delay long enough.
They've got some pretty scary pistol players as well. Nuki is someone who I think in terms of individual skill is right at the top of the list of players to watch out for. Rubino also doing a pretty decent job denying, and they have a pretty good crossfire here. Nuki actually gets taken down before he can use the ultimate, but Avova has been putting up numbers. A 2v2 situation, and the rotation is already here. Lau still with that rifle in hand. Looks for the peek back into the site. Doesn't know about the player below him, but it might not matter. The dink's been connected. He can't quite spot Hoppy though. It's a very close round for Heretics, decent in terms of what they had, but I think they might feel a little bitter they didn't get that over the line.
2 rounds saving a weapon, and finally he gets a chance to use it. A shame that he can't pull it off, and exactly as you said, Tom, they'll be bitter. Okay, then Nukia popped his ultimate, but they even managed to take that out of the round, so most of the threat was already gone at that point. It's only the pistols left over. But it's still a bit of a sting, the fact that they found so much damage, so many kills, and end up losing it all.
Oh, again. Similar start to this round. But I feel like they've almost tried to get in the heads of Heretics. Like, we've seen almost every single time they've covered the whole map. They played a slow default, but the change that they've made is now every single player is waiting towards A. And there's been no rotation at all. Like, a slight presence coming in from Nuki, who basically plays that rotational aggressor in the majority of the time. And the only thing that worries me a bit is Opportunists are playing a little bit slow here, considering they're all in on A.
Well, it looks like we're going to see the Cosmic Divide come in, blocking off some of the side, and indeed it's going to be up for heaven, but up indeed. Roden goes into the air and quickly falls. Lowell trying to get some kills, but Akuma's already falling rather, to that nade. At this point, Logan left alone, and he has very little to say about this round. The spike is down on the side. He has to pick every single kill off, and that wall will only help him for so long. I mean, as he moves down, it's already dissipated, and he has no info on where these 3 remaining players are. Pora attempting to be useful, just using the camera to spot as he walks on out, but first contact will be for Nuke as the swing comes in. Pora was even coming out to help his teammate. That would have been a nice trade, even if Nuke fell. 3-3 we go, and a well held onto round by Heretics.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised they do as well as they do, considering how the round started. Like, it looked like they didn't necessarily have the right read, but Nuki's rotation, even the divide put in by the attackers as well to try and make things as awkward as possible, but they don't really get as much done as I would have expected, so already bringing things back into a relatively even scenario. However, for the attack, well, I was going to say it's not too bad. They do have 1 player without a purchase, but we can already see the Blade Storm's been activated.
Yeah, it has indeed. Looking for a victim, and you said about that fast-paced jet style you wanted to see. Well, here it is, countered by a Rolling Thunder. Rubino comes around for 2, and he is out of there. The advantage is already theirs, but that doesn't stop Nuke from persisting. Now they're happy to sit away on that side and allow Opportunists to do whatever they like. Cypher Utility securing A as Hoppy desperately tries to get more kills. It's only the 1, and a very clean round for Heretics.
Yeah, that was clean. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. And when you consider Rubino as well, like, he was my worry going into this match. Like, as someone who, I think most people are a pretty big fan of Niso and the way that he played. He was very aggressive. He took a lot of map control. He took duels that I would say most people should not take. Like, don't learn from Niso. Don't learn from the way he plays. It's not something you can recreate. So I was thinking, okay, how's Rubino going to fit in? Because when he played Sage, it didn't work. Sova on this map's not great. Well, thus far, his breaches look decent.
Yeah, well, decent is fair to say. And I mean, I have some experience with Rubino. He was actually trialing for Alliance a while back. We had him for about a month, and it was amazing, really, to play with this guy. He's obviously incredibly experienced in FPS games, and when you look at how he supports a team, playing on an Omen, playing on a Breach, regardless, like, he has so much depth as well. The first thing he'll say to a team is, I'll play anything. What do you need? Like, it doesn't matter. He's like a good chef, you know? He doesn't have to stick to the menu. And overall, the value he brings to the team, it's far beyond, I think, what somebody in Niso's role would do. He's very aggressive, he takes those kills, but now we're seeing this other side to Rubino as well, where, yeah, he can deliver the frags, but not this time, because Roden's already gone to site and taken 1, dropped out immediately, but Nuke's stuck in the corner. A blast pack, it's a desperate attempt to throw them off the aim, as Lowell trades and falls back. It's the heal that's necessary, and now the Cosmic Divide on the other side. Akuma sneaks on through, a Vova up close is able to deal with them, and Lowell with another puts them into a nice advantage. Takis has it all to do to pull it on back as he drops out of heaven, but they're ready to take a double peek. They're lining it up. The one's about to come through that Cosmic Divide, and Takis hasn't got a clue. He creeps up above. The timing was good, but Lowell, his spidey senses started to tingle, so he catches it, and another round for Heretics that goes off with a pretty clean manner, and it's 5-3. Their defensive side's looking great.
Yeah, I think there's a few things to note here. Like, Lau's rotations have been spot on. Like, he seems to be in the right place at the right time over the last couple of rounds. Like, in the first few, obviously, he ended up saving. But I also like this Cosmic Divide. Like, I feel like a lot of the time you're seeing players try to almost overcomplicate where it would go. Like, oh, I've got to make sure I section off, like, 3 different avenues of the map. Whereas for there, Vova just went, I'm in this corner, come get me, that's it. You have to run through it. I've got advantage no matter which way you peek. Like, it's just simple, but it worked.
Sometimes the simpler things are better.
Is that what you tell yourself?
Yep, every day. I am better. But no, for Heretics at the moment, things are working out, but they're up against a full buy. This could be the thing that finally slows them down a little bit. We're going to see a Killjoy ultimate use that lockdown in effect to the A side. It covers everything. So they have to play a hard retake, and with the Astra utility, they can be completely locked out of this site. The push comes on through, and the spam's almost taking Pora out of the game. He's down to just 30 HP. With the plant coming in, it's all about the retake game, but look at what Heretics have to use. A showstopper and a res. They can play very aggressive off of this if they want to, and look for some peaks, all grouped up towards the spawn for now, and it's going to be a slightly delayed retake. I mean, if you're opportunists, it's just a waiting game, right? Let that clock run down. Nuke into sight. Hello and goodbye. He gets around the corner as well, avoiding much damage. The black hole used to keep them in position. Akuma's taken out after one, and it's flipped on its head. The defuse already underway. They don't have an angle to stop it. The round is won and done. Heretics take it on a 5v5 retake. Wow.
The utility usage from Avova there was so sick. Like, there's nowhere to go, and I think that's the problem of not even really being able to take too much control. Like, there was absolutely nothing Takas could do there. He's just sat there waiting for players to push into him, and, well, when you clear that site, it becomes very difficult for the remaining players to actually do anything.
And I'm fairly certain that, as you said, there's nowhere to go. When they popped that black hole, immediately it was Takas that was stuck there, right? But Hoppy on the backside also got stunned. So that was an easy duel from Heaven that was taken as clean as can be, right? He's stunned. He's taking a lot of damage. It's easy peasy. So that utility usage of Astra alone gave them 2 kills right off the bat on that retake. And in a 5v5 retake, Tom, 2 kills is pretty valuable, yeah.
Yeah, especially with how far the clock had already ticked. You could see that Heretics were prepared. And that's what we want to see on a map like Split, where we have questions. We're asking if they're going to be ready. We're asking if they've managed to make the changes, losing one of their stars. And so far, so good. And a change of pace once again. This is something the Opportunists have been known for throughout their career as an organization, as a team. And they're going to try and make things awkward for Pora, but he still comes out on top. The pistol headshot from the Classic, just holding down the fort. He's so difficult to clear, and he is just wiping them down. Finally, Logan can clear him out, but it's too late. The job has been done.
He not only was he out of ammo in his Vandal, not only was he stunned, but he went to the Classic, took that headshot, goes to site, and finds another. That's ridiculous value from Pora on a hold that he should have been out of straight away. Look at this. He's blind. There's a player pushing him down. He kills him. He gets stunned. He gets sucked in by the black hole. No problem. It keeps on going. And they had him sectioned off as well. They had him crowd controlled. He couldn't go out in front of the site because of the stun that was activated. So they knew he'd take the fight on the backside, and he still won it. Insane. Absolutely insane work from Pora. And this is why it's not strange to see him even take out the likes of Arena. If you see someone do that on Cypher, they can pick whatever agent they want.
Yeah, there's a few players doing that now as well. Like, Killers did a similar thing. You're just like, oh, Cypher players out there to frag as well, depending on the map. I think it's normally Icebox where we see the switch more so, because I don't think there's been too many comfortable Sentinel players on that map. But either way, we are going to have a proper purchase this time for Opportunists. I think they need to get a couple more rounds on the board. Sure, we do still put this map down to be more defensive-sided, but if it comes out looking as a 9-3, I'm not sure the comeback's going to be possible.
Exactly, yeah. The defensive side, maybe if you've got the 4 rounds, but 3, it's a long push. It does make a big difference.
Good luck, Pora.
Backside again. This time, surely, he doesn't get nearly the same value as before, and indeed not a single kill. The showstopper used to quickly dispatch him. Heretics again facing into a retake on that A side, but this time they don't have the ultimates of their own, and they have a man disadvantage. I mean, everything is looking up for the attackers.
I don't see a way back into this for Heretics. It's trades back and forth, but again, it's left just onto one man. He is the star of the show, but this might just be a bridge too far. A 1v3 situation for Nuki, the spike ticking away as well, and they know exactly where he is. There really isn't anywhere for him to go here, and the swing onto Hoppy will get him absolutely nothing. And I like that from Opportunists. This is something you'll see a Kukos or Existence do, where you hit a site, it goes quite badly, and then you do exactly the same again, because your opponent's read in most cases is, well, they've just fallen completely flat trying to take this site, so let's gamble elsewhere. And that's exactly what Heretics did. They had 4 of their players towards mid and towards B, and then just Pora trying to hold down the fort, and this time wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, indeed. You know, he can come out with that massive play in the other round, but you can't expect the dude to do it every time. As a cipher, it sucks when you just get sectioned off like that, because often you're going to be on the weaker side, right? Because your utility is almost an extra player for you. Once they deal with it, you're in hot water. I like the wall here. Oh, no wall. Okay. They're not going to go in. Nobody wanted to rotate over. Of course, Lal already has his res. They're instead prioritizing the early rotations and moving into the B site where they believe the hit will be coming in. And indeed it will. In fact, already 4 players shifting their way up into heaven. Now, Hoppy was spotted. He's made a little bit of noise, and he's going to try to creep up behind them as they shift their attention and their focus towards this A site. Breaking this tripwire is essential. There's no way past it. And as it cracks, now it's known that they're likely moving here. Still with the wall in play, Lalo is able to pop it up, look for a duel on top, can't find it, but Slow Orb goes down. That deters them completely as they move back into heaven, where they found Nukier. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but look at Hoppy's position, finally able to capitalize on that early map control and delete Rabino. Look for the site, where now still 2 defenders hold. Pora on the site dealt with, but Avova is doing the heavy lifting for them. The wall bangs are here. He's moving around as they fall, but Hoppy still gets away with it. A res keeps it in a 2v2, but the retake again is going to have to be mounted.
Yeah, they placed down the Cosmic Divide to try and hold them back, but it's Rabino already with a quick entry kill. It's left all onto Hoppy. A 1 versus 2. The wraparound's decent. He's managed to get himself back towards the spawn, something they might not be expecting, but with clearing all the remaining positions, they might be looking for that wrap around completely. Lau not quite looking in the right direction, and it's being stuck by Rabino. He comes off to end the life of his opposing breach, and it will now be an 8th round on the board for Heretics. A solid half for them going into the defense, but it's not impossible for Opportunist here, Mitch.
That was a left side peek into a right side one. That was expected as well. So Rabino was on a very big disadvantage in taking that fight, coming off the spike, having to re-equip his weapon. So much that went into that, yet he still wins it. I mean, he has been solid all half long. And as you said, Tom, right? 4 rounds, yeah, it's not ideal. No one's going to be sat here moving onto the defensive side with a smile on their face going, hey, you know, this is exactly what we wanted. But it's workable. You can definitely recover it. The pistol round, or at a minimum the second round, is going to be very important. We need to see Opportunists walk away with it. And on the defensive side, you don't normally have as much of a say. 3-man stack towards the A site. They're willing to gamble and roll the dice, but Tom, they might be in trouble this time around.
Yeah, the one good thing about their B-site defense is you have most of the utility that you would use to delay. Having a breach there, you can put out the fault line, and you also have Logan as well with his turret, and I imagine maybe a nano swarm or 2 to try and slow them down. That is very fast from Nuki, though. However, he's going to get dropped, and also the gravity well has almost held them back a little bit here, making things even tougher. Still, Mitch, they managed to turn the tide and get the entries they need.
Yeah, very well placed smokes right at the start. They heard the turret. They saw where it was. They popped up a smoke on top of it. So your turret's out of the round. Logan had prioritized the ghost, so he didn't have anything else to help them out, really. And that's a tough one. A tough pill to swallow. Roden moving up behind. He just gets cracked, distracted by some utility, and despite a very nice attempt at Akuma, it's only a ghost, and there's too many players to take those fights. Heretics, they overwhelm the weaker side of B, and in dealing with that turret, find themselves a nice, easy 9th round. Also, I do like the counterplay, really, of just putting down, and one of the big pieces of value that you'll get out of this new agent that you see Avova playing is whenever you're playing an Astra, okay, you're on the A side, but you can put down your gravity well, you can put down your stun, and it's almost a nano swarm. You know, most players are not going to push through that if it's in the choke point of B main.
Except Yassine.
Of course. Yeah,
I think you learned that yesterday, right?
Yes, it's a lesson well and truly learned. Thank you, Tom, for reminding me of that. Such a good friend. But no, whenever you're seeing your Jet or your Raze, we know that you don't have to respect that kind of utility as much. And again, think of it the same way as a nanoswarm. How many times have we seen it where a Jet player is faced up against a nanoswarm? They just dash in if they feel comfortable. Maybe put a cloudburst down. Now they're on your site, and you're not ready for that because the position you're in is probably to catch them coming out of the nanoswarm not already being on site.
Oh, the Nebula. Give some safety for Akuma for a moment. He'll hit the dink and do a little bit of damage. Pora left low, but I don't know how much more they'll be able to get. Roden actually picks off Lau, so there's no heals to be had. And the wraparound from Takas, but Pora, always aware, always ready. And I think that's any chance of this round gone.
It should be. Yeah, the retake, tough to make happen. Two-man disadvantage. Low HP on Pora, low HP on Nuke. So those are potential kills, even on range, that they can capitalize on if you can hit the heads right away. Hoppy trying to bait them out into doing something, anything, but it doesn't... Oh, right click. Hello. Good damage. Like, this is winnable at this point. The kill doesn't come through for Hoppy. Very unlucky RNG on that right click, leaving Logan to play exits. And the handy thing about being in a round like this is you can afford to take this angle, just jump into the spike if they save somewhere else. The risk isn't really there for you. But ultimately, even against the 6 HP player, he can't win. Pora's just got the jump on that fight.
Yeah, I think this is it, though, for Opportunists. They have to win this round. If they lose this, the economy game somewhat goes out the window. This is the biggest advantage they're going to have for quite a while, I'd imagine. And, well, realistically, Heretics are 10-4 up. I think that's all you really need to know about this game thus far. That's the main point to bring up. Also, just look at the depth within this roster. I don't like to talk about scoreboards, but if it's 13, 14, 11, 10, and 10, that's pretty impressive. Everybody is here for Heretics.
Oh yeah, they're showing up. We're seeing that. Obviously, we've been talking about Rabino, we've talked about Pora, and those are the players I guess you wouldn't normally talk about on this roster in particular. Lowell's Battle Sage of Vova, obviously typically a very aggressive player, now on the Astra a little bit less so, and Nuke, one of the highest rated players in European Valorant. So it's a star-studded lineup, and to see everybody delivering, it's scary if you're facing off against them, especially with 4 rounds. As you said, Tom, it's do or die right now. This is the round that Opportunists really need to take. They've fully invested, and they're up against 4 Spectres, so they have the weaponry advantage. On the defensive side, being able to force or decide the range of duels, you don't have to play into the hands of the Spectres either. But on a map like Split versus a new agent, things can get a little bit scary, a little bit surprising at times. I was just watching that engagement in upper B, that smoke, it makes them think that Spectres are about to burst out and take the duel at any moment, but in fact, they're rotating and they're looking for the A site with a full 4-man push.
There's a bit of utility to deny them. A couple of stars themselves, but you know that there's more to be placed, and they might actually get caught placing them themselves. Akuma a little bit slow, but he gets there in the end, and eventually just destroys the push. It was only Spectres, and Pora's left wondering, where have my teammates gone? 10-5, a solid hold from Opportunists, and that's exactly what we wanted to see going into their defensive half.
Really beautiful stuff, and one small thing to point out here for Akuma, the big difference between playing an Astra and playing a Cypher, for example. If you think about popping a smoke the same way you would a cage or something like that, you try to use the utility as reactive, it doesn't really work because you have to, there's an equip time, right? After you've activated the smoke, the stun, or the black hole, you have to then take your weapon back out. Whereas with Cypher, it's a point and click. You can be shooting while you're activating cages. So it makes a pretty big difference in a lot of scenarios where you want to use your utility reactive. Sometimes you just don't have the time.
That felt a little bit close. I think that's the best way to put it, is a millisecond less and maybe he gets shot in the face. This round, actually not going to be much of an investment. Oh, he's been pulled in, but hey, he may be stuck, but that doesn't mean he can't shoot. So that's absolutely fine. Opportunists get their 6th, but I think this is where things should be a little bit tougher for them now, Mitch.
Tom, is exactly as I said to you before. I think last night when we were playing a couple unrateds, you know, fragging out, I was saying to you that a lot of people, they respect utility a bit too much at times, and in particular we were talking about the nanoswarms, but I also said about, you know, when you're looking at the black hole in particular, you can get out of it from any side of it with knife out, and in that position I mean, they didn't even try, just crouch, spray, and let it go, and it works. You know, sometimes you just have to do what your opponents aren't expecting, and that one there from Roden is an aggressive play. It's worked out for a kill, but the B side is now very, very weak. A cage for the cross as they start to move over, and Nuke, well, he's already on the site. That rolling thunder will help his teammates cross. This player's postured and ready to retake, but the spike will maybe not almost certainly go down. Takas wanted to have something to say about it. He's starting to move forward. He's looking for the duel on site, and now he's out. This is a very early push. The Cloudburst gives it away, but he still catches Rubino off guard, extends it into more with Hoppy up behind him, and now that spike planted, but Lal has no chance of pushing the defenders off it. Again, a 1v4 in which he must save a weapon. We got to get a tally for that one. Again, it's the pretty Phantom skin that he's got just tucked away in the corner. Little consolation to Heretics, really, is it looks like Opportunists are back in the game.
Isn't that what you do with your Reaver Vandal?
That's what I do when I find a Reaver Vandal on the floor, Tom, because as previously stated on Twitter, I'm fairly certain I'm
How many days?
part of some sort of targeted campaign. I think this is day 147 that I've checked every day for the Reaver Vandal in my store, and it has not been there. So that's fun.
So that's a little bit unlucky to me, you know? I think it came up in mine like a week or so ago, but...
You know what, Tom? It did, and I can tell it did because you messaged me a picture of it and then didn't buy it. So our friendship is over.
Ah, that's a shame. Anyway,
shout out all the people who are
10-7.
looking for skins and will never get them in their store again. It's we've just been marked. We've been cursed.
I want to give you money, right? I want to give you money.
Take my money.
Well, the economy at the moment for Opportunists is thriving, and because of that, this is where we should see a change for Takas. He's not at the best of games, let's put it that way, but the reason we see him moving to Jet, the reason he's no longer on that Sage, is because of this Jet op. The ability to be so much more aggressive and get out of dodge without too many problems. Now, the purchase at the moment from Heretics is a bit of an interesting one. Now, you've got the save weapon, that's why Lau still has himself a rifle, but they have put a little bit extra into Nukium, do have a res available if they need it. However, they've already started off with what looked like a fairly easy pick.
It did. They made it look easy with the Sheriff's in hand. A weapon upgraded, and the site taken. The nade is good, though. Luckily, the smoke comes in time to allow a fade back. Alarm bot triggered. Logan knows there's someone coming on up, but he's surrounded. There's players absolutely everywhere and nothing he could do about it. This is starting to fall apart now for the defensive side versus a relatively weak buy and a Vova assassinating from above as Nukie picks up his third in the round, leaving Takas to run away. A 1v5 this time, but a more valuable weapon on the line. No way that he commits and potentially loses a weapon that no doubt they don't want to be investing into coming into the next round as Heretics hit 11.
That was surprisingly easy as well for Heretics. I think that's the thing that scares me the most, is that was basically just a straight up push through middle. They pick off the one man, and then after that, the after plants, it almost looked too easy for them. Now, at the time, there wasn't any ultimates for Opportunists to actually put into play to try and retake things there, but that is a rough round to lose, especially when you look at the current situation. Sure, they can still buy, but they lose another one and they're almost out of a map that we said, not that it would be nice for them to win, they need to win. The next map is a 27-0 map for Heretics. You do not want to be going into that with a deficit.
Yeah, again, I'll throw myself under the bus on this one and say that I indeed predicted it to be an Opportunist win, and the logic of that would be split and ascent. When it comes to Haven, I think it's very, very difficult to come out in almost any matchup if Heretics are playing and favor their opponents. So yeah, a map they need to win, a round almost I would say they needed to win, because now they have no opportunity to slip up. If they make one mistake, they're screwed, and Roden pushing in a little bit too late. The cage buys just enough time, well placed by Pora, to stop them capitalizing off of that rolling thunder. The Nano Swarm, the Boom Bot, this will get them an ultimate orb, and Logan will only then... Oh, they've not even gone for it. He's only one away from the lockdown. I'm surprised they don't hold that for just a second longer after so much utility had been burned up by the attackers. An interesting decision, but we'll see if that has any effect as things go on. Great flash.
It seemed like Both players were quick to react. Lau also putting a slow so that they couldn't actually get into their position. And now they've gone back to B anyway. Now there is a player up in heaven watching, but Logan is in trouble. So much utility coming into his corner, and he is locked out, left alone as they all go pushing in, but he still manages to get two. This man is so difficult to remove from situations, but the res has been placed, and any push through this cosmic divide is such a risk for the side of Opportunists. They do still manage to bring back one, and it may be possible, Mitch.
Yeah, these are the things, right? When you've got a Jet who's able to just dash out of there, you can take the risk if you react quickly, but a tough 2v3. They've got to get this one on the board. They're committing to it, and Takis has dropped. It's all on Akuma. The wall broken, and Pora quickly breaks the spine of Akuma as Opportunists don't look like they've got a leg to stand on anymore. 5 rounds in a row needed. Heretics on map point.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Yeah, I think Heretics have done so well to make a lot of these defensive situations very, very awkward. Like, the fact that we actually see 2 kills come in there for Logan is a miracle. Like, he should get nothing. He was slowed, stunned, blinded, and still manages to get 2. It's the caliber of this player we talk about all the time, but the rest of the team just couldn't get back in. The Cosmic Divide meant that they basically had to go for very aggressive pushes, and the res from Heretics made it even tougher. Now this round, again, still a purchase, even a couple of ults available. And Takas looking to get a bit aggressive, but the fact is Pora most of the time is just going to be waiting. So it's similarly to what we saw in the last half. There's only so much ground you can take. They're stacking.
It looks like it, yeah. And they've got a lot of utility as well. This is all based off of the position that you've got Takis on, but the problem really is that Heaven is open. They don't have any control of middle. A very strange setup to see a team deploy. Okay, they've got a turret watching for upper B, but upper A, they could already be through. Takis inside the cage. He'll look to move and get back on that angle, but now there's a player on his left, and he could be in a little bit of trouble as the rest of the team moves up into heaven, or into rope room, excuse me, and shifts down and up towards heaven. I mean, for Takis getting out of this position is going to be tough. He can get the first kill, there you go, but now players coming up behind him. Akuma ready with the pull, but Rubino again just doesn't respect it. He's ready to take the kill. Takis has to deliver with the knives in hand. He's the player stuck towards the side, and he misses. Taken down by Rubino yet again, who survives. Jumping down to sight, a full spray, pops the Rolling Thunder, but that player's already dead. It's a 3 versus 2. Lockdown gonna come into effect for Logan here. They've got to defend it. It's likely they get pushed on, and already Lowell attempted it. Taken down as the flank comes into play. Nuke trying to decide if he goes for it. Should he stay or should he go? Well, he's got to go and get out of that ult. They're already on site. The spike is not planted for him. He has no utility to get out there. Halfway stuck already. He needs to swing. He needs to go now. The time is too low. They've got it done. Nuke gets the kill in the end, but it's not enough. Opportunists hang on for at least one more round.
Too close for comfort. That lockdown from Logan is the game changer. The fact that he's able to push them out of the site and at least make things a little bit more awkward. And it did seem like the retreat, at least from Heretics, was a little bit disjointed. The one player went forward, one player went back. It just wasn't quite as clean as we would have liked to see it. But again, they make things work in those clutch situations, and I have to admit, thus far there haven't been too many of them. That is what we know this French Opportunist side for, is these crazy clutches, bringing things back. But Heretics, up until now, did well to quell them.
Poppy, nice flash, good peek, and Logan capitalizes. You know, this is one of his best, I think the best map for Logan. And certainly when we move on to Haven, when they look at their bind, he doesn't show up in quite the same way, but right here, he's untouchable. I like the usage of the utility from Akuma, but a little late. Nuke knew there were stars at his feet, and he didn't want to mess around and stick around, showing them some respect at least. Moving forward, they're spraying, they're conscious of him being here, and eventually that scares him back. No point in pushing in and taking a duel when he doesn't need to. It's a 4v4, and we've seen the preference of Heretics before. It is the A side, and especially with the position Lowell's in, it looks like they're heading there again.
They've also got the rotations held now by Nuke. Left in a lurk, and he will pick off one. They know at least that means that both Breach and Astra are on the other side, so they're going to get moving. Over the top of the utility they go, boosted up into heaven. Logan needs to be clutch again, and this time Rubino puts him down. It is all about survival now for Opportunists. 2 players to clutch versus 3.
This would be heartbreaking for Opportunists to lose. The chances of winning the series decay very, very quickly. They're definitely going for it, obviously. Heretics on the verge of taking it. Stunned in the open, taking double damage. Not a chance. Hoppy drops down right onto Lel's head, and he's quick to dispatch him. 13-8. Heretics, they've taken map 1 in this series, and this was the map that Opportunists needed to win, Tom.